It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I'm going to be taking a look at Azul. This is a new tile laying game put out by Plan B Games, designer Michael Kiesling. And in it, you are supposed to be competing with other people to tile the king's bathroom or something. I don't know. The theme here is strictly window dressing. The game is going to feel abstract. The game is going to play in a very abstract way. That's not to say it is not a gorgeous looking game and that it's not interesting. But how good is the game? Is it a good game? Who's it going to appeal to? Well, that's what you're here for. Let's take a look at it. So here I'm going to be giving you a look at a game for two players, okay? Each one has their own personal board with a scoring track, and then the pattern they're attempting to build laid out right there. We've got some of these selecting spots laid out. We've put some tiles on them, and there are some we're not using because it's only for two players. This is the setup for two players, so I'll remove these. We also have, of course, the bag here full of the other tiles that are not in play yet, but those are all the ones in there. So we'll push that aside as well, and we'll take a look at how the game works. What you're attempting to do, as I said, is complete as much of this pattern as possible and score some victory points. You'll score some victory points when a tile is placed. Right away you'll score some points. And then also at the end of the game, if you are able to complete an entire column, you're going to get 7 points. A row gets you 2 points. Also triggers the end of the game, by the way. And then if you get all 5 of the same color, which is right here, you're going to get a bonus 10 points for that, for each time you do it, if you can do it more than once. So we pick a start player. Let's say this player right here is going to be first, and then they'll take some of these tiles. When you pick, you are going to go to a single spot, and you are going to take all of one color, whatever color you pick, but you have to take them all. So if this player goes here, they cannot just take 2 red, they have to take all the reds. So let's say they do that. In fact, they're going to go right there. They'll take all 3 reds of these, and now they'll place them on any one of these lines that they choose. They don't have to complete it immediately, so they could, if they wanted to, put all 3 of these tiles down here. That line is not complete, meaning it will not score yet at the end of this round unless it is completed. And you'll carry them over if it's not completed. But let's say they put them there. It makes the most sense right now. And then anything else that was not picked in that spot is actually moved to the center, which is another spot you can pick from with some other implications. So we go over to the other player's turn, and they do the same thing. Let's say they want these 2 yellow tiles. That means the other tiles that are not picked are pushed to the center. They take these 2, and they'll put them right there. Okay, and this goes back and forth until one player picks from the center. When a player picks from the center, they are going to take everything of one color, but they also take this token. That has 2 meanings. They'll be first player next round, but also it goes down here and gives them a penalty point at the end of the round, all right? And any other tiles you cannot place in your display in this sort of setup area, you're also taking victory and negative victory points for that. You're losing points for that. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say that this player has, for some reason, picked this already. They put a single blue there, they put a red there, and they put, let's say they put another one of these there. All right. And I'm going to need some more tiles. Let's grab some tiles here, and I'll put some in the middle there to help me out, okay? And you can have multiple colors in different lines, or, that color can show up in multiple lines, but as soon as you pick the color for a line, that color is set, meaning this blue taken by this player must go here and nowhere else. There's nowhere else that could be where it could be legally played. So let's say that player is later on forced to take these 2 yellow tiles. Well, they cannot add them to this line because it's full. So in fact, they'll go down here as penalty points. And that's how that works. Once the round is completely over, meaning all of these have been taken, then players are going to score some points. And so let's take a look here. I am going to just fake this a little bit for the sake of my example. Let's do that. All right. So this player, oh, and they have some other things down here because why not? Let's say that's what they've got, and they took first, okay? So I'm going to score this board just so you see how that works. If the line is completely filled, it's going to score. It's going to move over to the actual finished wall and score. So you'll take the tile, you'll move it over to the matching spot. If it's completely by itself, in this case it is, you get a single victory point. And so for this line here, which is also complete, that gives them, again, a single victory point. Any other tiles, by the way, are removed from the board. However, if it's not a single tile, in this case, this red line is complete, it comes over here, that tile is not by itself, you'll score the row and the column. And you're going to get a point per tile in there. In this case, that's 2 points. If, however, this yellow had already been placed there previously, and the player just now deploys this red, well, they'll get 1, 2 this way, and another 1, 2 this way for 4 points. All right, and then these are removed, and anything that is not complete simply sticks around and stays there for the next, for the next go around. And so once they've scored all those points, they might take some penalty points, and then this is all the ones up here stay, the ones that were here extra go away, and then anything down here is also gone. They keep this to remind them they are the first player, and we populate this again with 4 of these tiles per picking area there. Again, all of these would be gone by now. And that's it. That's how the game works. And so you are trying to get a whole lot of points by lining these tiles up here, making sure when you deploy something, you're scoring a lot of points for a line or a column, and also completing a lot of the same colors so you can try to get that bonus, and completing the columns themselves for that +7. As soon as someone has a line completed, meaning once this player deploys that and this one, that's going to be the final round. That ends the game, and we add up those bonuses to what we've been working on, okay? And that's going to be it. Whoever has the highest score at that point is the winner of the game. Besides this side of the board, you also have another side to the board, which is a little more free form, okay? It looks like that. Everything is the same except that these don't have colors selected already, and so when you fill in a line, let's say this player has done this, you are going to get to push one of these over. This is gone, and you get to deploy this one anywhere you want in the line. You can stop anywhere you want, which makes it easier to make columns as long as you're careful, because you can still only have a color once in a row and in a column. So once the red is here, that means there will be no red above or below it or to either side of it. So you do have to be careful, because sometimes you can force yourself into situations where a tile placement somewhere is simply not legal. That's going to do it for the explanation. Hopefully that gives you a sort of an idea of how the whole thing goes. So we're going to go back up top. I'll tell you how the thing plays and how it feels, all right? Here we go. All right, so there it is. That is Azul. Let's talk about it. I'm going to start with thematic ties here, and this is no bonus points for this, right? In fact, my main concern when it comes to the theme here is I wonder if it's going to push some people out that would otherwise enjoy the game. On the other hand, the theme allows for some gorgeous looks. This game is a stunning looking game. It really is very attractive on the table. I just wonder if on the shelf it's going to catch people's eye. And I don't know. So I'm not taking points away here for the theme, but I'm also not awarding it any. It's okay. It allows for gorgeous graphics, which we're going to talk about next, in aesthetics and quality of components. The game is very attractive. It's got a clean look. It's got a beautiful design to everything. You can tell that detail and care went into every little part of the game. And the quality of the components as well, because the tiles, the cardboard is nice and thick. It's beautiful. And then those tiles, the azulejos themselves, are beautiful. They are chunky. They are tactile, and they're in a very tactile way. They're very pleasant. They're fun to manage and deal with and fiddle with. Great job on that front. Replayability and scalability. The game scales really well because you're adding different areas that you can take from. So I like that. There is, however, I've found anyway, you're going to find a little more confrontation in a two-player game than with more, because you can directly force your opponent to take stuff they don't want to take way more frequently, it seems, than with more players. So there is that. Be aware of that. But the scalability is fine. It does scale well. And the replayability, I also think, is there. You have the two sides of the board. So if you get sick of, I guess, the one pre-printed side, organized, layout, you can play on the gray one. But it's a minor thing. It really is. It's not a huge difference as long as you, you can make columns more easily, I guess, but you got to be careful how you do it, because you could just as easily lock yourself out of other columns. So I enjoy both sides. I don't feel like the gray side is the advanced side. It's just a variant. And I'm happy to stick with the other side forever, but the replayability is there. The game length is also on point. The game does not feel long. In fact, it feels like sometimes you wanted a couple more turns, and I'll never turn that feeling down. I'm perfectly okay with that. I enjoy that feeling of, ooh, almost had it. Not, oh, we got one more round after this one? Okay, this game does not feel that way. It's great. The ease of play, which is fiddliness, if there's any weird design choices, things like that. It does not feel fiddly. In fact, I love the manipulation of everything. I love that you empty some tiles out and the rest go in the middle, and you start building this tempting pool of tiles, and that's great. Couple of tiny little, in the weird design choices department, a couple of tiny things I want to talk about. Scoring's a little quirky, and by that I mainly mean you score your row and your column, right? That's fine. I get it. You play a single tile, it's still 1 point anyway, which breaks that rule. So every time I teach it, I have to be really careful with how I phrase that, because oftentimes I say, okay, one tile is 1 point. Then after that, you score the row and the column, and they go, okay, so if it's two tiles, one above the other, and this is my new tile right here, is it 2 plus 1 point for scoring that line? No, it's just 2. Okay, that's a little quirky. It breaks slightly. Not a big deal, just be aware of it. And then the other thing is that in the rule book, I wish it was a little more clear that on the gray side of the board, you can still not have any repeats in the lines. They make it very clear that a vertical line cannot have repeats, but it's not as clear that a horizontal line cannot have repeats. It's been confirmed. And so I know that that's the right way to play now. No repeats, just like on the other side. I just wish it had been a little more spelled out. Okay? And then lastly, tactics and strategy, and of course, luck. Their luck here is fairly minimal, actually. I mean, except for setup, the rest is all tactical. And you really have to watch out for when you take what, how you do it, where it goes, what's going to be left over, how you score the most points. Do you really focus on those colors and try to get 5 of the same color as soon as you can? Never mind connection bonuses, right? Being next to each other for scoring in-game. There are tons of tactics here. And of course, that comes coupled with the fact that the game is basically abstract. But still, if you are looking for a tactically rich design that is beautiful, this one's going to give that to you. So, my final thoughts. This game is really neat. I wasn't sure what to expect. The theme did not necessarily captivate me. The look of the game did, though. And having played it now, I keep wanting to come back to it. It's a pretty fascinating game. I enjoy the way it feels. It's a little tough to teach. It's a little quirky with getting people to understand the notions of the things you're doing. This line of 5 tiles still just translates to 1 new place. Wait, what? Okay, sure. But once you get past all of that stuff, the game's really interesting and engaging. So I think if it looks appealing to you, I think you are going to like it. For that reason, I'm going to give this one a seal of excellence, and I'm going to recommend that you go check out Azul.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool Stuff, in stock. Check them out at coolstuffinc.com.